You're telling me about seeing lights at the campgrounds and stuff. Is that also what you're talking about saying?
Yes.
Other than these two boats that come on after you and your dad and your buddy get there, do you and of course the fishing boat that you ultimately find, do you remember seeing any other boats on the lake in that general area?
No, just the two boats.
Okay. So, if you're able to, can you tell us about how far away you are when you finally see lights and realize where the fishing boat is?
When we go on the causeway and they point us directly out in the middle of the lake, the closer you get, the better you can see the lights. And we heard them screaming, and once we got up to them is where I could really see the lights.
Okay, all right. So it's really more the screaming that's, and the pointing of the woman that sort of puts you in that direction, correct?
Yeah, because it was a pretty good ways out there.
Okay. Do your best and tell us how far north of the causeway you think it is where you ultimately find the fishing boat and the man in the water.
Maybe 200-300 yards.
Okay. As I think we've just kind of agreed, at the outer edge of that 200 or 300 yards where you're at the causeway, you're really not able to see the lights of the boat, correct?
Not like to the best ability.
Okay, it's really as you get up closer, correct?
Yeah.
The pointing of the woman and the screaming is sort of what draws you, and then you see the lights as you get closer.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, this incident that you talked about a few moments ago, about the gentleman who was on the fishing boat with the injury to his arm, you said about him cussing and stuff when you were over, this is when you were on shore, correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us how long it had been from the time that you and your dad and your buddy first pull up and find the fishing boat and the guy in the water until this comment occurred?
Probably 10, 15 minutes at the most.
So, this isn't the first time you fished on Berlin, if I understand it, correct?
Yes.
You're familiar with the lake a little bit?
Yeah, we're familiar with it.
All right. If I use the phrase in connection with Berlin Reservoir, the channel, do you sort of have a general idea of what I'm talking about?
There's different reservoirs I've heard on the lake. I don't know every reservoir.
Okay, fair enough. Where you and your dad and your buddy ultimately find this fishing boat and the fellow in the water, is it pretty much out in the middle of the lake?
Yes.
You bet. I realize this isn't a precise science. I'm going to ask you to just do the best you can. I'm giving you a little push pin. Would you be able to show me on this map, which is Mark State's Exhibit 4, your best recollection of where you guys think you found the boat and the guy in the water?
If where's a little bit above.
Okay. Now, I heard you mention something a little while ago about lights on your boat, and I think I heard you use the phrase required fishing lights. Do you remember saying that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? You have to say yes or no. She's
Yes.
That's all right. Thanks.
Sorry.
Everybody does that. Don't worry about it. Can you tell us what you mean by that phrase, required fishing lights?
They're like little round lights, I believe. They come up, on the edge right here, on the other edge for people to see the ends of your boats.
All right. I'm a landlord, so I hope I don't screw this up. Are these lights that are on the starboard side of the boat and the port side of the boat? Are they on the stern or are they on the bow?
I'm not real educational when it comes to where they're supposed to be or where they're not. I just know from seeing them on boats.
Okay. I guess what I'm trying to find out, since I don't know what you're talking about, these are small white lights, correct?
Yeah, I've seen them. There's different ones, I believe, but I don't know which ones have what purpose.
Okay. The lights that you guys had on your boat, then let's try to focus on that. Can you tell me where those were? Were those sort of on the side of the boat? Were they on the back and the front? Or were they?
I really don't remember. I just remember seeing the light.
Okay. And you think there were two of those?
Yeah.
And when you say they're required, where do you get that phrase, or what makes you say that?
My buddy's he owns the boat, and he likes to know the rules when he goes on the lake, and you got to have your lights on when you're going through the water, or when you're sitting on the water, because people's got to see you.
I take it, since you were down by the trestle for 4 hours or so, you didn't see this fishing boat out on the water except at the time that you guys came up to do the rescue?
To be honest, I wasn't paying attention to anybody, so I don't know.
Now, when you guys are out there pulling this man from the water, these other two boats show up, correct?
Yes.
Do you remember, were there people shining lights from the boats trying to help you guys to illuminate the area?
To be completely honest, I was kind of in adrenaline mode, and all I could think about was getting him on the boat. So if there were lights, I don't really recollect.
Fair enough. And I'm going to ask you, and you can tell me whether you remember or not. Do you remember any lights being shown on the scene from the shore or the causeway? People trying to use spotlights to help you out that way?
There was people on the causeway with lights. Whether they were trying to help us out or not, I couldn't tell you.
When you got close to the fishing boat, are you able to describe what lights you did see? You and I talked, as you got closer, you were able to sort of discern these lights.
Yeah, I remember one light on the left, a fishing light, I believe, and there was something else in the boat because that one little fishing light wasn't going to light up the whole boat. I believe there's some other kind of light because when I got closer, I could see Bruce's whole person. I could see that, something had happened to his arm, and can't tell you what kind of light it was. I don't know.
Yes.
That's all I have. Thanks for your time. Thank you, Judge.
Any redirect?
I just have one question. That light you're speaking of in the boat with Bruce, how bright was that light?
It was pretty bright. Once we got to 100 yards, I could see it pretty well. When we was coming under causeway, he was a couple hundred yards out there. It was kind of hard to decipher between the lights, but once I got within 100 yards, I could make it out.
Was that light blinding?
No.
Okay, nothing further.
Any follow-up?
Nothing else, thank
You
you.
may step down, thank you. May I see counsel?
I'm going to need you to make sure you keep your voice nice and loud for us. There's just a few of us here, but it's a big room, so it kind of swallows up your voice. Please state your name and spell your last name for the court reporter.
Jennifer Kingsley, Kingley.
And Jennifer, how old are you?
31,
And where do you live?
in Akron.
Okay. And do you work?
Yes,
What do you do?
I'm a pharmacy tech.
Okay. And so I'm going to ask you about May 8th going into May 9th of the year 2015. Do you recall that night?
Yes,
Okay. Can you tell us what you were doing that evening?
I was fishing with my boyfriend.
Okay. And who's your boyfriend? Or who was it at the time anyway?
Same person,
Okay.
Michael Dush.
Okay. And did you say you were with someone else as well?
My son and my niece were with me.
And how old were they?
9, both of them.
Okay. And where were they fishing at?
Berlin,
Okay. Is that someplace you regularly went fishing?
yes,
And do you recall where on the lake you were fishing?
yes,
Okay. Was it from a boat or was it from the shoreline?
from the shoreline.
Okay. And I'm going to have a Is that okay? Do you see this State's Exhibit 4? Do you recognize that as the lake? Can you point to the area that you, your boyfriend, and your son and your niece were fishing at?
We were over here. It's like an old boating dock.
Okay. And how long that evening had you been fishing? Did you go out before it got dark?
Yeah, it was probably about sunset-ish.
Okay.
That's when he likes to go.
And when it got to sunset and the sunset, did you guys have any lights in order to illuminate your fishing area?
We had our lantern
Okay.
with us.
Did you see anyone else out on the lake fishing that evening?
There was other people out there fishing.
Okay. Once it got dark, did those fishermen also have lanterns and stuff that you were able to recognize them?
Yeah, and our flashlights.
Okay. Were there people fishing from boats, if you recall, as well?
There was boats out on the lake, yes.
Were there both fishing boats and other kind of boats, like speedboats?
Yes.
That evening? Okay. And at this position that you were on the lake, what is that across the lake from you, if you know?
Like a tackle place.
Okay, a bait and tackle or something? Could you hear anything on the lake when you're sitting there fishing? And did you hear people's voices and other people being around the lake?
Yes.
And did you hear anyone playing music?
Yes.
That kind of thing? All right. Was there a lot of that going on?
Yeah.
All right. So could you tell how many, once it got dark, could you tell how many people were out there?
I mean, it was pretty dark, so you couldn't see.
Okay.
But it sounded.
All right. Was there different music from different areas, that kind of stuff, or multiple people playing music?
It
If you
sounded like
recall.
one party to me.
Okay. Could you tell what area of the lake that was coming from?
Looking at the lake, it would have been off to my right-hand side down.
Okay. Across the lake from you?
Not directly across the lake,
But
but
to your right a little
yeah,
bit?
to the right.
All right. Can you tell us, there was something that happened that night, correct, on the lake?
Yes.
Can you tell us what you remember about that?
I remember just hearing a lot of music and hooping and hollering,
Okay.
and then like a speedboat coming really fast across the lake,
Okay.
and then you just heard this really big boom, and then there was some arguing about lights on the boats,
Okay.
and then a man yelling for his friend and for help.
Okay. I'm gonna slow you down just a little bit and go back a little bit, all right? You said that there was a speedboat that came down the lake, and you kind of motioned from one direction. Was that from that area that you said had the music, like across but to the right of you?
Yes.
Could you see any color of boat? What color the boat was?
No.
How could you tell it was a speedboat?
How fast it was going, and it was a larger boat.
Okay. Now, you said you heard a boom. How loud was that?
Very loud.
I'm sorry. Did it sound like an explosion?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And then you said you heard some yelling or some arguing.
Mhm.
Can you tell exactly what they were saying?
They were arguing about lights on the boat. One was yelling, like, "What are you doing?" He was like, "You don't have any lights on your boat. Where's your lights?"
Okay.
And then he's
Could
like,
you tell where that was coming from?
right in the middle, like where they were. At first, I didn't. I can't say that who was saying it to who. It was
Okay.
really dark, but yeah.
Did that, when you say you heard the speedboat, then you heard the boom, did you no longer hear the speedboat during that, or could you tell he still had his motor on and was sitting at the lake?
He still had the motor on.
Still had the motor on, okay. And that's when you heard all the yelling back and forth?
Mhm.
You have to say yes or no?
Yes.
Sorry. Sometimes I forget too. About what time is this when you hear this? The crash and then the yelling?
It was after midnight. I don't think it was too long after, but it was late.
Okay. Could you tell how many people were on either boat, that kind of thing?
No.
All right. Did you do anything in response to hearing this stuff?
I called 911.
All right. So you did call 911 and speak to a 911 operator?
Yes.
Did you tell the 911 operator exactly what you told us today, or pretty much
Yes.
what you told us? Did you go, or let me go back. Where did you call 911 from? Were you still at your fishing spot?
Yes.
Were you guys still actively fishing?
We were at the time.
Okay.
And then we stopped once we realized someone had been ejected from the boat. He
Okay.
pulled his poles in.
The once all that yelling went on about the lights, about what are you doing out here kind of thing that you said, did you hear that speedboat again?
Yes.
And where did it go?
Under the bridge, but kept going, but that direction.
Was it still speeding?
Yes.
Did you hear anything after that boat kind of faded into the background?
Just him screaming for help and for his friend,
Did you hear his friend's name or anything?
Brian.
Were you able to, did you guys have a boat with you?
No.
So you weren't able to go out and help?
No.
Were you still there when the police and all the rescue and EMTs started arriving?
Yes.
Did you do anything at that point to go and tell anybody what you saw or what you heard?
Yes, I went over to the bridge where there was the ambulance and police.
Did you write a statement for
I-
somebody?
Yes.
Prior to the speedboat crashing into the other boat, did you see that fishing boat?
No.
Okay. What about after the crash or during the crash? Did you notice any lights on the fishing boat?
Yes.
And did it have lights?
It did.
Okay. Are you a boater?
I'm not.
Okay. So you wouldn't know the speed limit on that lake or anything like that?
No, I do not.
Did you see other boats go and respond to the fishing boat and help the guy out?
Yes.
Did you ever see the color of either the speedboat or the fishing boat, anything like that?
No.
Can I have 1 second?
Yes.
Jennifer, you said something about you could hear the speedboat and the engine of that speedboat, is that right?
Yes.
And you mentioned it was a larger boat. Why did you think that?
I can't, as it was like coming across, like you can, I mean, the lights are not right next to each other.
Okay.
I mean, you can like glimpse it, but I can't like say how many people was on it or what color it was. Like it was late, but I
Okay.
mean, if something, it's dark, but you can still kind of see the image of a person. You know what I mean? If they're
Right.
standing so far from you, I
Okay.
think. So.
Were there any lights coming off of Les's bait shop, that bait and tackle that you talked about across the way?
There were.
Okay. Was that speedboat larger than the fishing boat that it crashed into?
Yes.
I have nothing further this time.
Thank you. Attorney House.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Kingsley.
Hello.
My name is John, and like this other lady, I'm going to ask you some questions. I'm going to ask you if you'll keep your voice up so we can all hear you, okay?
Okay.
I'm also going to ask you that if I ask you a question that you don't understand, instead of trying to answer it, will you tell me you don't understand it?
Yes.
All right. And I'm also going to ask you if you will answer questions based only on what you know or what you remember. If you don't remember, tell me, don't guess. Fair enough?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Either before or after you heard this big boom, did you ever see a guy in a boat that was sort of lit up by a light inside the boat?
On either boat? I'm sorry.
On either boat?
I mean, there was like the lights on the boat, but
When you say the lights on the boat, you're talking about the normal lights that you see, the navigation
Yeah.
lights?
and
And
then
you're used to seeing those from being out there fishing, right?
yeah,
Okay.
and then I can't remember if it was before or after the other boat left. Like there was flat, like a light on the water, looking for his friend.
Okay. You don't remember if that was before or after?
I don't remember if it was before or after the speedboat left. No.
You had seen a speedboat earlier that day going up and down the lake, correct?
No, I didn't get there till later. I didn't see any boats traveling back and forth on the lake.
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know which one of these. Going to hand you what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit D. Now, before you read it, let me just ask you a question or two. First of all, do you recognize what it is?
My statement.
Yes, okay, that's the statement you wrote out from the police, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And talk, give me a second or two. I promise.
Sorry.
That's okay. I will let you read it. I'm interested in knowing where you were when you filled out that statement. Were you up on the bridge or were you over
Yes.
on by Alessa's?
I was on the bridge.
And if you remember, who was there with you?
My son and my niece was there, but then there was a lot of like, cops and ambulance.
Okay. And did you hear people talking about the accident while you were up there on the bridge?
They had me sit in at my car for the most part.
So you drove your car from where you were fishing up to the bridge where you filled out the statement?
Yes.
So you told me that they put you in a car, but what I was interested in finding out is, when you were up there on the bridge, did you hear other people talking about the accident?
I mean, there's a lot of crew workers, so I mean, yeah.
Okay. Do you remember what you heard people saying about the accident? No?
No.
Okay. All right, I'll let you look at the statement first, but I want to do this before I forget. That first? Yes. I'm going to ask you to look at this big map here that we've marked as States Exhibit 4. I think you were showing this map a little bit ago. You recognize that as Berlin Lake?
Mm-hmm.
Yes? You have to say yes or no because
Yes.
Kathy's taking it down. That's okay. Everybody does it. If I give you this blue push pin, will you kind of show me your best estimate of where you were fishing?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. There you go.
There's, oh, it's probably.
There we go. Thank you. Now, during the time that you were out there fishing, did you see a boat that was going up and down the lake? You remember seeing that?
No.
No? You remember telling the police about that?
A boat going up and down the lake?
Yeah.
No. Not prior to the accident.
All right, fair enough. Let me ask you now, if you'll take the State's Exhibit D, that's your statement that we talked about, correct? I'm going to ask you if you can go ahead and read that, and then when you're finished reading it, would you look up and let me know that you finished?
Yes.
Take whatever time you need. Okay? All right. Now that you've read that, you remember giving that statement to the police?
Yes.
Do you remember talking to the police about a boat that you had seen on the water since you had been there?
At the accident, yes.
So are you saying that the boat that you saw at the accident was the same one you saw on the lake?
Prior to the accident,
Yes.
I didn't see boats going up and down the lake.
So you did see boats going up and down the lake?
No.
Okay. So when you said there was a boat on the water that had been loud since we had been there, it went speeding across the water. Are you saying that there wasn't a boat that was loud that was going across the
It
water?
went speeding, that's when the accident occurred.
Okay, but you said that boat had been there since you had been there, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So had you seen the boat some other time that night prior to the accident?
No.
No.
You just heard the boat. It was quiet. It was echoing. You could hear them.
When you say you could hear them, tell me please what you mean by that. People on the boat?
People on the boat, there was yelling, laughing, music, like,
Okay. And so when you wrote this statement, you were basically telling the police you thought that was the same boat, is that right?
it was coming from the same area, correct?
After you hear this loud bang, are you still able to hear the engine of the boat? Yes?
Yes.
You can hear it the entire time, correct?
Yes.
Give me just a second.
Yes.
That's all I have, thank you.
Any redirect?
So Jennifer, in your statement, when you say there was a boat on the water that had been loud since we had been here,
All right. Court of Common Pleas is back in session.
You may be seated. Counsel, you may call your next witness.
Your Honor, the state calls Simon Ford.
You would step right up and raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir.
You may be seated.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
This courtroom is rather big and it's hard to hear in here, so I just ask that you keep your voice up, even if it feels like you're yelling. There's also a little black microphone next to you, in case you want to speak into that, okay? Can you state your name for the record and spell your last name?
Simon Paul Four, F-O-O-R,
And how old are you?
47,
And where do you live?
Atwater, Ohio.
And are you employed?
Yes,
What do you do?
I am a truck driver at Deerfield Farms.
And how long have you been a truck driver?
Oh, about 17 years.
I want to go back to the day of May 8th, 2015 into May 9th. Do you remember that time?
Part of it, yes.
The evening of May 8th, where were you?
Berlin Lake fishing.
Could you tell me what time that you had went fishing that evening?
We had started off, I don't know the exact time. We went over onto Bedell Road, was fishing there for a while, wasn't doing any good. I've always had good success under the bridge of Berlin. So we took haze and went down there to fish.
And you say under the bridge, is that the 224 bridge?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was it dark at this time?
No, it was still daylight. I don't remember an exact time when we got there, but I know it was still daylight.
Okay. How long were you there fishing?
Oh, it was well into the night.
And you mentioned Hayes. Who is that?
That is my girlfriend's son,
And who else were you guys with that evening?
my girlfriend,
And her name is?
Konstantinos Coverts.
Okay. So at some point you go underneath the bridge, you said, correct?
Yes.
Do you have anything with you so that you can see any type of lighting or anything like that?
We have our lanterns,
Okay.
and I always carry my big flashlight.
And is it common when you're fishing in that area to carry a lantern or a
Oh,
flashlight?
yes. Because without one, you fall down the hill.
What is the weather like that evening?
It was pretty clear and nice.
May I approach your honor?
You may.
This has been marked as State's Exhibit 4. Do you recognize this?
Oh, somewhat.
Does this look like Berlin Lake to you?
Yes.
And is this a 224 bridge?
Yes, ma'am.
The causeway right here, is this correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you point to me where you were fishing that evening?
Okay, we were on this bank here, just underneath the bridge,
Okay.
on the north side.
Okay. And you said you've been out there for hours, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Does anything out of the ordinary occur that evening?
Boat crash.
And how do you become aware that there's been a boat crash?
When we were done fishing and we were started up the bank, there was a loud bang. And Hayes had said, it sounds like somebody blew a motor.
Okay.
And then the next thing we heard was a gentleman hollering, "You hit us."
Prior to that crash, had you noticed fishing boats in the area?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you happen to see this particular boat involved in the accident prior to the accident?
Yes, ma'am.
And had you seen them often?
They cruised up and down the lake underneath the bridge where we were fishing,
Okay.
playing music very loud. I'm not going to speculate that they were drinking, but they were raising cozies.
Are you speaking of the boat that was left at the scene or the other boat involved?
The boat that left the scene.
Okay. What about the fishing boat? Have you seen that?
He was out in the water sitting, fishing.
And you had seen that prior to the accident?
Yes.
Did you notice if that boat had any lights on?
He had one on the bow.
Okay.
I don't remember whether there was one on the back or not.
Okay. Did you see any other light coming from that boat?
No.
And now, the other boat involved, you said you'd seen that boat earlier in the evening. Do you know what type of boat that was?
I can tell you it was one that you use for skiing. I don't know the exact model and make of it.
Okay. Do you know what color it was?
It was white with a burgundy stripe. And it had, I don't remember whether it was silver or black bar that went up over it, like had big lights and stuff on it.
Okay. So you stated you did not actually see the crash, but you heard something.
Right. It was dark when the crash happened.
Do you look back in that direction after the crash occurs?
I took my flashlight and shined it over that way, and you could hear him hollering he needed help.
And who was that hollering?
The gentleman that was in the small craft,
Okay.
the little fishing boat,
Okay. Did you hear anything else?
he was hollering for help. He said that his buddy was in the water. He needed help. And then there was another voice that yelled at him, "Throw him a life jacket." And then all you could hear was the motor from the boat, the big craft that left the scene, race up the lake.
So he sped off, is that correct?
Yes.
Did you see what direction he was headed?
He was headed down, it would have been the south side of the lake, under the bridge.
Okay. Did you lose sight of him at some point, or were you able to see where
He was going, when he came under the bridge, he was headed towards the state ramp, which is on the south side. I want to say it's the east bank on the south side.
Would you be able to point that out on this map?
It would have been over in this area he
Okay.
was going.
So you saw him come under this bridge?
Yes,
And then went over to
yes.
the bank over there on the east side? What do you do after that? Are you in a position to help?
No, I am not. The only thing I can do is call 911. My girlfriend said that she was going to,
So did you call 911?
yes, I called 911.
And you relayed to them the information that you just provided us?
Yes.
Okay.
My girlfriend was going to swim out there. And I told her that it was too far for her to swim, and as cold as the water was, wouldn't have been a good idea.
Were you still down underneath the bridge at that
No.
point, or had you guys made it up to the top of the
I was at the top of the bridge, and so was she. Hayes was over by the car.
Okay. Are there any other boats in the area?
There was a boat coming from the south side, coming north. She flagged him down with my flashlight.
Okay.
Told him that there was,
Were you asking that boat to assist?
yes, she was, yes.
And were you able to direct them?
She did, yes.
You directed them in the direction of the crash?
Right.
Okay. At that time, did you yourself own a boat?
No.
Had you been to Berlin Lake before?
Oh, yes, many times.
So you're familiar with the lake itself?
Yes.
Do you know of any no-wake zones on that lake?
Yes, ma'am.
And where are those?
We're right around the bridge, going into Les's bait shop, going into any ramp.
Do you know if there's a speed limit in the evening on the lake?
That I cannot tell you. I have never fished Berlin in the evening on a boat.
When you saw this speedboat take off under the bridge, do you know that to be a no-wake zone?
Yes, ma'am.
Was he creating a wake?
Yes, ma'am.
At some point, did the fishermen receive assistance out on the lake?
The boat that was coming from the south end of the lake up that she flagged down for assistance did make it up there. I don't know what they did when they got there, but the boat did make it there.
Okay. Did you remain on the bridge during the
Yes.
entirety of this incident?
Until the police department got there and they had us come back to where the pull-off area is where our vehicle was parked.
Okay, so you waited around to speak with police officers?
Yes.
And did you provide them with a statement of what had occurred?
Yes.
And was that a written statement?
Yes.
May I have one?
Yes.
I want to go back to the part where we were talking about the speedboat leaving the scene. You had said he was creating wake, correct?
Mhm.
How could you tell?
Because of the water splashing up on the shore.
Did you hear his engine?
Oh, yeah.
And what did that sound like?
Like it was full bore,
Okay.
wide open.
Full throttle?
Yes.
And did it remain that way as he was headed in the direction he was going?
Yes. And then it got quiet.
And at that point, you lost sight of his
Yes.
boat? I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Cross.
Good afternoon, Mr. Taylor.
Good afternoon.
My name is Lynn Morrow. I represent Joe Yurich. I have a couple questions for you about what happened that night. I would ask a couple things. If I don't make sense and you don't know what I'm asking, please let me know,
Okay.
okay? And if you're not certain about something, just tell us you're not certain, don't guess.
Right.
Fair enough? I'd like to show you. May I approach now?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit E. If you could take a second and look at that. Do you recognize where that is?
That looks like the south side of the bridge.
When you were fishing, you had indicated you were under the bridge. Is this the bridge you were under?
Yes.
May I have a witness stand for a moment?
Yes.
I can have you come here and look at this so you get at least right on this board. If you could mark with a 1 where you were when you were fishing that evening. Okay.
We were there. Hayes was right here.
Can you do me a favor?
Yes.
Could you have the witness face Kathy so that she can clearly hear him?
Kathy is a court reporter.
Oh.
Is that okay now?
Yes.
But I was on the corner.
Okay.
Hayes was underneath the bridge in the center fishing, and my girlfriend was in between us.
Okay. So if I'm understanding you, you're more under the bridge fishing.
I was right on the point where the end of the bridge ends and it starts to curve around.
And there's a pile of rocks there, correct? Okay. And Hayes was more towards the south?
He was underneath, yes, he was
Okay.
south, right under the bridge.
Okay. How long had you been under there fishing?
Oh, it was quite a few hours.
At some point in time, you said you guys were heading up or heading out. I forget how you described it. But you heard the boom. Do you know exactly where you were when you heard the boom? And if you could put a 2 where you were when you heard the boom?
If I remember right, I know we were up in this area here.
So you had already started walking up the rocks towards the side of the bridge to go up to the bridge?
Yes.
And from where you put the 2,
I
you weren't
was-
quite up to,
Right, I was the, I'm trying to remember, I think Hayes went up first. I'm not really sure.
Okay.
I don't remember
fair enough.
who went first or second, but I know I was towards the end, I was at the end.
And you had said earlier, if you don't have a lantern or a flashlight, you're going to fall.
Exactly.
Did you have a light, lantern, or flashlight?
Yes, she had a lantern with her, Hayes had a lantern, and I had my flashlight.
Okay, so all 3 of you had lights as you're walking
Yes.
up this embankment. And it's fair to say, as you're walking up, you were not facing the location where the accident happened. You have your back to it,
It was off to my right,
off to your right.
Yes.
Would have been
the north side.
the northwest side or north?
It was, up in this area up here, by Less's Bait Shop, up in that area there.
You can go ahead and see. So you don't see the actual collision?
It was dark.
And if I'm understanding you, the bridge would have been obstructing that portion of the lake where the accident happened from where you were walking?
No, we were on that side of the bridge.
Okay. And as you're walking up, the first thing that alerted you to anything wrong was the boom sound?
Right.
Now, when you hear that boom, what do you do next? Do you turn around immediately or do you walk up to the bridge?
I was walking up. I mean, I've heard at night out there, there are times that people throw fireworks, like firecrackers, stuff like that.
So it didn't immediately cause you to stop and look?
Right.
You hear noises out.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. So you didn't immediately realize that boom was an accident?
Right.
Okay.
I didn't know actually anything happened until the gentleman in the small fishing boat started hollering for help, and saying that you hit us.
Okay. As you're walking up, leaving from fishing, do you recall hearing any other engines, noises, anything as you're walking?
I really don't remember. I know I could hear him hollering for help.
And that's after the accident. I
Right.
want to focus on before you hear the boom, as you're walking up, leaving fishing. Do you recall hearing any other noises or anything?
As far as noises, music.
Okay. Now, when I first asked you if you actually saw the collision, you said it was dark that night.
Hmm.
That's a yes?
Yes.
She has some trouble getting mm-hms and even though that's how we normally talk. So it was dark that night. Do you recall if you were standing there fishing, how far out could you actually see?
When it was dark, with the lantern, I could see probably 30, between 30 and 35 feet with the lantern, roughly.
When you heard the screaming, "Help me, you hit our boat," were you already up at the top? of the
Yes.
creek? Okay. So by the time you hear the yelling, you've made it up to the top.
Yes.
And at that point in time, do you start looking at,
I started looking towards Les's bait shop,
okay?
because that's where we heard the sound from, and that's where the yelling was coming from.
Could you see anything?
It was dark, and the only thing I could do was use my flashlight and try to see the watercraft out in the small watercraft out in the water.
Okay. Then prior to using your flashlight, when you look out there, you couldn't see anything.
Right.
All right. Now, you said you could use your flashlight, and I have a flashlight in my car that's just a regular one. My husband has one of those mega ones that you could see. What type of flashlight did you have?
Mine is a mag light. It is a 4-cell D battery. It's one of the big ones.
Okay.
And I can use pinpoint on it.
How long after you hear the help do you turn on your flashlight?
As soon as we heard them hollering for help, I turned my flashlight on immediately.
Okay. And I think you said you have a pinpoint function,
Yes, I can narrow down the beam on the flashlight.
so it's more of like a spotlight.
Right.
And try that in English. Did you do that immediately?
It was a couple seconds
Okay.
after.
So at first you just had your flashlight looking.
Right.
Still not seeing anything.
Right.
And then you narrow it down, and do you eventually find where the boat is?
I could see the light on the bow of the boat. I could not actually see the boat itself.
And describe for me what that light looked like.
It was like triangle light on the front nose, on the bow.
Did it have any color?
Trying to remember whether it was green or red, or maybe both. I'm not really sure.
Fair enough. By that point in time, the other boat is gone?
He is coming back towards the bridge.
Okay, so he's still in the water, but he is not back by where the fishing boat is.
Right.
Now, you testified that as the speedboat was leaving, it went full throttle, correct?
Yes.
Prior to that point in time, you had not heard it at full throttle, correct?
There were periods after he had got away from the wake zone on the north end of the bridge that you could hear him.
Okay, my question was prior to that point in time, before the accident. You didn't hear the throttle of that boat, correct?
I don't understand.
I apologize. Before there was the boom sound,
Right.
you had not heard a throttle from the boat.
Yes, you could hear his throttle.
Okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. How long had you heard it?
Well, he had been up and down the lake all afternoon, well, the evening when we were there fishing.
How many times had you seen this boat that night?
Probably, I know at least, I'm sure of 3, but I'm saying it's going to be more.
How close did that boat come to you when it was going up and down?
He come under the first pier, pretty close to us at one point.
And how many people were on the boat?
I can remember 3 when it was daylight, 3 or 4 when it was daylight. When it got towards evening, I know there was a couple people on the boat.
And you're certain that boat you saw going up and down all evening was the boat that was in the accident?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm, is the...
Yes.
And you are sure of that as anything else you've testified to here today?
Yes.
When I asked you prior to the accident, had you heard the throttle, you referenced seeing this boat earlier in the day. I'd like to narrow that down to just prior to the boom. Do you recall hearing any engines from any boats?
I do not recall.
Okay. The fishing boat that was involved in the accident, had you seen that boat earlier in the evening?
Yes.
How many times had you seen that boat?
I seen it over by Les's bait shop. He was sitting out in the water. They were fishing.
Had you seen it anywhere over by the bridge?
That I don't remember.
And how many people do you recall in that boat?
2.
Do you recall giving a statement to the police that evening?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And do you recall telling the police, or when you wrote out your statement, that it was a small trolling boat with 3 people on it?
I don't remember saying 3 people.
Mayor Pritchard?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit F. Ask you if you recognize that document.
Yes, ma'am, that's a statement that I wrote out.
Can you take a second to review it? Is all of that writing on this statement your writing?
Yes, ma'am.
How about where there is a cue for question, can you see any of the boats? Is that your writing?
Yes.
And the answer to that was recreational boat, it was white and burgundy strip, that's the boat that left the scene.
Yes.
And then there's another question. Is that your writing that has the question listed?
Yes, ma'am. The answer is
No, small trolling boat with 3 people on it. When you said that, were you referencing the fishing boat?
yes, that would be the fishing boat.
And you indicated in your statement that you saw it going north under the bridge at a very slow speed.
Yes.
So you had in fact seen this fishing boat earlier going under the bridge?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall how long before the accident you would have seen it?
No, I don't.
Do you recall if it was light or dark out when you saw it?
I know it was getting, I wouldn't say dark, but I know the sun was coming down.
Okay. And as you sit here today, is that the only time you recall seeing the fishing boat that evening?
Yes.
And do you recall the lights on that fishing boat when it went under the bridge?
The only thing I seen was it had the bow light. I don't remember whether there was any lights on the back of it or not.
Fair enough.
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what we marked as Defendant's Exhibit G. You can just put that one down next to you. That is a picture of Berlin Lake with the 224 bridge, correct?
Yes, ma'am?
Do you know on that map where Lessons is?
Yes, ma'am?
I'm going to have you do the same thing if you come down here. And with this black marker, can you put an X or a star or asterisk where Lessons was, or is?
This is over here.
And by the time you get your flashlight, you're up on the bridge.
Yes.
Can you put on this one, number 1, where the fishing boat was when you see it with your spotlight?
He is out in this area, out in here.
And if you can, because I don't know where you were on the bridge, put an X where you were on that bridge.
We were in, right here, there's a pull-off. Right up here by the bridge is where we were parked.
And you put a circle there where you guys were.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. You had described earlier the boat that you had seen had the bar across the top. You weren't sure if it was silver or black, I think.
Right.
And you said there were lights on it.
No, I said it's one that lights would go on.
Okay, fair enough. So you did not see lights on that portion?
No.
Now, you had earlier indicated where, after the accident, where you saw the Bayline, the larger boat, go. Can you put this white push pin on this location where you saw it?
When I lost sight of it, it was over in, let me see here, over in this area, over in here.
And that's on the south side of the 224 bridge?
Yes.
I don't have any other questions, thank you.
Thank you. Redirect.
Just briefly, when you were out there fishing from that area in the bridge, can you see lights on the shoreline?
There were, on the opposite side of the bridge from us, there were people over there fishing.
Okay. And were you able to see lights from other boats in the water at that time?
There were some boats way off in the distance. If I'm not going to say exactly how many, but I think there was like one or two up towards the dam area on the north side of the bridge.
Okay. And then at some point, when you're looking after the crash, you're able to see the fishing boat with the light on the boat,
Right.
correct? I have nothing further, Your Honor.
Any requests?
Yes, Ron. When you go back up onto the bridge, how many people are up there on the bridge at that point in time?
I don't remember.
Were there others besides you and Constantina and Hayes?
Yes, there were other people on the other side of the bridge, down underneath fishing. I don't remember whether any of them came up on top or not whenever we were up there.
Do you remember if any of them had flashlights, lanterns, or lights?
I know a couple of them had lanterns down there because I could see the lanterns.
And this is before the accident?
Yes.
If you recall, after the accident, was anybody either under the bridge or around the bridge yelling out to the people, to either boat?
I don't remember.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Nothing further.
You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you.
And your next witness?
The state calls Konstantinos Coverts.
If you would raise your right hand, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, sir,
You
I
may
do.
be seated.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'm going to ask you to speak up. This courtroom is very large and it's hard to hear, so you might feel like you're yelling, but that will make it so everyone can hear, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is your name?
Konstantina Covert,
And spell your last name, please.
C-O-V as Victor, E-R-T.
And do you go by Konstantina?
No, ma'am, I go by Dina, D-I-N-A.
And how old are you?
I just turned 49
And where do you live?
in Atwater.
And are you employed? Are you employed?
Yes,
And what do you do for a living?
I have a medical background.
And how long have you been in the medical field for?
1990, I started it working in a hospital. But previous to that, I was schooling.
Okay. I want to talk about the evening of May 8th into May 9th of 2015. Do you remember that night?
Yes, ma'am, very vivid.
Early in that evening, what were you doing?
Fishing
And where were you fishing?
on the 224 bridge on the north side.
And who were you with that evening?
My son, Hayes Covert, and Simon Four.
And how old is Hayes, or was he at that time?
At that time, 13.
Okay. What time would you say you went out there to start fishing?
Exact time I can't recollect. It was evening.
Was the sun still up?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you said you were on the 224 bridge, is that correct?
We were not on top fishing. We were down at the bottom. You can either go under the bridge or fish on the north or the south side of both sides.
And you said you were on the north side?
Yes, ma'am, the
And
whole
you're-
time.
And you're not in a boat, correct?
No, ma'am. We were on the shore. We were under the bridge and to the north of it.
Could you estimate how many hours you were out there fishing?
Well, it was dark and we had 3 lanterns and we were there for quite a while. We
Okay.
went there for relaxation and to take my son.
Okay. And you said you had some lanterns with you, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am, 3 of them.
What was it like that night as far as the weather?
It was nice.
Were you
Warm. It
Clear
was,
skies?
pardon?
Clear skies?
Yes.
Were you able to see even when it was dark out?
The area around, yes. Not brightly, not like a full moon, no.
Okay. Were you able to see boats in the area?
Yes, ma'am.
Were there a number of boats out that evening?
Depends what time of evening. There was more, a little more at dusk, and that evening there was a few boats in the water.
Were there people out fishing that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Did they also have lights with them?
That I don't remember, because
Okay.
where we were at, there was no one in that area right there. They were at distance.
At some point while you were fishing, does anything out of the ordinary occur?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that?
Do you want early on, or?
Sure, start from the beginning.
We had taken my son fishing. We just brought him home from Rainbow Children's Hospital. His cardiologist said we could do whatever he wanted to relax. We went to the fishing spot. We sat under the bridge. We were on the side of the bridge. There were several boats going through at that time, different boats. One particular we recollected that stuck to my mind because of the music that was playing, and it was so loud, and multiple passengers on the boat. It had gone past us many times while we were there all evening, during evening time and through the night.
Could you describe that boat?
It was maroon and white,
Okay.
and it was a speedboat, like similar to, like you could ski behind or boat two behind. You could do many different things.
Bigger than a fishing boat?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then into the evening, we kept fishing. My son, I asked him if he wanted to go. He said no. So we stayed fishing because we had our lanterns. We fished quite a bit. We had our lanterns, snacks, drinks of water and Gatorade. And then we were getting ready to leave. I wasn't feeling too well. I went up to the car, to my Jeep to be exact. And my son and Simon were starting up the hill. To the exact point where they were, I can't tell you because I was at my car, which was parked on the north side of the bridge. We heard a big noise. And I suddenly said, "What was that?" My son said, "It sounded like a motor blew on that boat." And the next thing, and you could see the lights on both boats. Next thing you know, we heard a conversation of a gentleman hollering,
Objection.
where do you want, I mean,
What time was this, do you think, when you were leaving?
it was very late, very late. I made a 911 call.
Okay.
I don't remember the exact time. There was a lot of excitement going on that evening.
And you said you're on the north side of the 224 bridge, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that the same side the accident had occurred on?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were able to see out there 2 boats, correct?
Yes,
Objection.
Were you able to see any boats out there?
yes, ma'am.
How many were there?
2.
Could you describe those boats to me?
Yes, ma'am, because they were both previously right in front of me. At dusk, the 2 gentlemen that were in the fishing boat had come underneath the bridge where we were fishing on their side. There's 2 different sides of the bridge that you can go through. And at that time, they were fishing near the embankment on the northeast. It would have been the northeast side of us, and we were on the northwest side of the bridge. You know, everybody that goes by, they go slow enough because it's a lake zone that you say hi to different, I mean, I've always been cordial, no matter whether I'm on a bicycle, motorcycle, whatever. Just said hi, how was fishing? Evening went on. The gentleman in the 2 fishing boats had went to the northwest side of us, and I could see that still before it got too dark.
Could you describe that boat?
It was a small fishing boat. Do I remember the color? It was either like a grayish, I forget the colors.
Was it smaller than the other boat?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You were able to look out and see the crash site, correct?
I could see approximately where it was because of the lights that were on the boats, both boats.
And what did you hear?
I heard
Objection.
At what point? I'm sorry.
Immediately after the crash.
at the crash, immediately right after the crash, the gentleman hollered, "You hit us, my buddy's in the water." And the other gentleman stated, "Throw him a life jacket." And next thing, I was still on top of the bridge. He was going extremely, extremely fast, more than he should have been through a wake zone.
And how
That is buoys there that are marked a wake zone. And at this time, I was standing at the top of the bridge. I followed this boat from the north side of the bridge, ran across the road to the south side of the bridge, and watched where he went.
Okay.
At that time, that I assumed, because that's when he turned the light out on his boat.
Okay, I want to back you up a little bit, okay? May I approach your honor?
Yes.
Can you take a look at this map for me?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you recognize this to be Berlin Lake?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you see the 224 bridge on there?
Yes, ma'am.
Would you be able to point to me where you were?
At the time of the accident?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the bridge. Oh, it's this close. I gotta take my glasses off. I was right up here on this top part of the bridge. My vehicle was parked right there.
Okay, and is
Because you
that,
can park right along here.
is that an opening where boats
Yes.
can pass under?
Normally, boats that are going through the north side go on this side. Boats coming this way go on this side. There is, through the bridge, the way they have the poles, it's done as solid, but this isn't correct.
Okay.
I can't say that.
Do you know that to be a no-wake zone?
Yes, ma'am, there are buoys there. Several of them that is what those are for. It's a slow area.
If you were to look at this map, could you point to the location as to where you saw the crash to have occurred?
Right about there.
This is the white, right next to this white
Yes,
marker
ma'am.
right here. You see the bigger boat take off, you said. Which
Mhm.
way does he travel based on this map?
He's going south.
Okay, so you're here on the bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Does he go under that underpass?
Yes, ma'am. He comes under this underpass here, never slowed down, never even let off the throttle when he hollered, throw him a life jacket.
And this is what you know to be a no-wake zone, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you point on the map where you believe he went?
As I was watching him and on the phone with the 911 call, he still had his light on. There's a state park over here. Let's see, this is Bedell Road. So this would be the state park area. He came over towards the state park area. He had turned the light out on his boat. At that time, I was still on the phone with the 911. My call went to Mahoning County. And at that time, Simon was also on the bridge, and his call went to Portage County. We were both on a 911 call.
And do you know that lake to be in both Mahoning and Portage counties?
At that time, no, I didn't. And I have been out there for many, many years, even as a child, and camped there. I have actually boated on the lake and fished.
After the larger boat takes off, is that when you contact 911?
Yes, ma'am. And I heard the other gentleman saying, help us, my buddy's in the water, and then when he said throw him a life jacket and sped off, yes. And yes, I was astounded at the fact of I, with my background and the water being cold and my child's safety and myself, I couldn't get in the water to help this man. I'm a very good swimmer. I've saved lives before, but being dark, even though you could see the light on his boat and him hollering the whole time, somebody help me, help me, help me. And I was literally hollering back, trying to get help on the way. I'm on the phone with 911. And I told the 911 operator I felt horrible because of my previous, I've been a medic, I've been an EMT, that I couldn't do anything to help this man but make that 911 call. As I followed the boat going through the other side, telling the 911, if I want to stop the other boat that was coming through after still being on the phone with 911, a sheriff came rolling up, I told him that the boat looked like it went to the state park, because at that time that's where he straight went to and turned the light out.
Okay. So you were relaying the information you have to the 911?
I was on a 911 and a sheriff pulling up to me.
Okay. Did you do anything else to try to assist?
Yes, ma'am.
And what was that?
There was a boat coming from the south side. It had been, I cannot tell you the time frame, but the boat coming from the south side, I had hollered. I was standing at that time on the south side of the bridge. I kept telling the gentleman on the 911 call, here comes a boat. Let me see if I can, and I'm hollering at these people in the boat. There was, looked to be 2 gentlemen in that boat. I told them there was an accident. Please, these gentlemen on the north side of the bridge need help. They asked me where. I ran back. They went through the bridge slowly. I ran back to the north side of the bridge and was pointing at over to the, I kept telling him, go towards the bait shop. There's a light. Because at this time, it had to have been well over midnight. It was starting to get, the air was still cool. It was night air. And by this time, I mean, everybody, the gentleman got to him. I can't tell you what happened at that point. We had ambulance, we had sheriffs, the ODNR. Not only were they were trying to, do you want me to keep going?
That's okay. Do you remain on the bridge when the police officers arrive, or do you go somewhere else?
I was on the bridge, and then I went to check on my son because of the trauma he had had previous and that night.
Okay.
He has heart conditions.
Do you speak with any of the police officers?
Yes, I did.
Okay, and did you provide them with the information that you had?
Yes, ma'am. And I also told them that my son could identify the boat.
Okay.
And he had a picture of the boat because earlier that evening they were going through, there was probably 6 or 8 people on the boat. At one point in time, they had drank something, don't know what it was. They were in koozies, but they were playing the song Uptown Funk. And my son loved that song. And during the day, you could see the boat. They were almost to the dam area. And you could hear the music that loud at the bridge. I mean, they were having a good time. They were enjoying themselves.
Okay. And did you provide a written statement to the police officers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And I also allowed my son to give the photo of the boat and him to write a written statement, even though at that age. But I can't say that they were very cordial, the EMS, to my son at that time. He had just had heart surgeries up at Rainbow.
Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Yes.
I have no further questions, thank you. You stay with me, they're going to ask you some
Oh.
questions.
Sorry.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Ms. Covert. My name is Lynn Morrow, and I represent Joe Yurich. I have a couple questions for you
Yes, ma'am.
about what transpired that night.
Yes, ma'am.
If I don't make sense and you don't understand what I'm asking, can you please let me know?
Yes, ma'am.
And if it's something you don't know, can you let us know you just don't know?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Now, prior to testifying, you had an opportunity to meet with the prosecutor's office, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you did not meet with the defense attorneys because your attorney, Kenny Cardinal, told you not to.
Yes, ma'am. He said not to speak to anyone else. Because he also represents my son.
I think you said your son had a picture of the boat. Did he actually take a picture of the boat on the lake?
No, he could identify. He identified the boat. He did not actually take a picture of it. He pulled it up on Google, put the name of it in, and pulled it up on the exact boat on Google.
Okay, I wasn't certain if you were saying he took an actual picture of the boat.
No.
Now, you just testified that on the evening this happened, you spoke with the police and you provided a written statement.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'm assuming you were told, make sure you put down everything that you observed tonight.
And the 911 call.
So you were told to make sure you recorded everything you observed that night.
As much as we could do at that time. My main concern was my son.
Okay. Were you told to put down...
Yes, to write down what we could recollect at that time.
Thank you. So you were fishing under the bridge for several hours that evening.
Yes, ma'am.
And you testified you saw the larger boat go back and forth multiple times.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you see anybody who was actually on that boat?
Can you see
Did you
this?
see anybody who was on the boat?
Yes.
How many people did you see on that boat?
At which time?
Well, the first time you see it.
The first time there was probably 6 or 8 people on that boat.
And how long after you got there was that you saw 6 or 8 people?
That was, I can't remember the times and how long it was in between. I mean, they had gone through, like I said, several times. So, you know, can I say a 100% at the time, if you want to pinpoint in time how many people were on that boat? No, I can't. Okay?
You don't know how long after you got there, the first time you saw that boat?
Could have been 20 minutes, half hour, not 100% because
Fair enough. Was it light or dark out?
it was light, it was daylight.
And you think there were 6 or 8 people on the boat then? Was there music playing then?
Yes, ma'am.
And you were certain that that's the boat that was involved in the accident?
Yes, ma'am, 100%.
No doubt in your mind.
No doubt in my mind.
You then see that boat again later on. Can you estimate how long after was the second time you saw them?
Oh, they would go down, they would drive down towards this part of the chart here,
And
goes
for
to the
record,
dam.
I was going to say, for the record, you're pointing up towards the dam, so they would go up towards the dam.
They would go up towards the dam, because that's where it was, and then they would come up this line here. They would come through the bridge, he'd come up this way, you could hear the music playing, they'd come back down and he'd come through this sign.
And that happened more than
Multiple
twice?
times. Multiple times.
More than 3 times?
Yeah.
More than 4 times?
It was several times.
Did you ever see who was driving that boat?
Yes.
Who did you see driving that boat?
It was a gentleman with brown hair. I don't remember if he had sunglasses on or regular glasses, but he did have glasses on. They were having a good time. There was other men and women on there.
I don't recall you giving a time when you arrived at the lake then. Do you remember what time you guys got there to go fishing?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Did you work that day?
No, I just came from, I had been at Rainbow Hospital with my son.
Do you remember what time you left the hospital?
Well, it wasn't that day we left the hospital.
I'm focusing on May 8th, what time you got at Berlin Lake.
It was after, I can't tell you an exact time. It was evening, but it was early evening. Might have been 5 o'clock. Around then, because we had taken sandwiches with us. We had first initially went over to Bedell Road. We was there probably 20 minutes, a half hour. There was a lot of people over there. We weren't having no bites, because that was my choice. My son said to me, Mom, can we go over? Because normally we would fish on the 224 bridge. So I thought we'd try something different, because there was a lot more people. You know, there was people over there. They said at a bait shop, at Les's bait shop, where I go and buy my fishing stuff, that they were having, they were talking about the fish biting heavy. But can I give you an exact time? No, ma'am. And then we left from there, and we went straight over to the 224 bridge.
When you were over at Bedell, did you see this larger boat?
No, ma'am.
So the first time you see it, we're over in the bridge. It's still light up. You think it's after 5 o'clock.
Yes, ma'am. But I can't give an exact time, because I wasn't looking at any times or anything else.
Your attorney, Kenny Cardinal, also told you to give as few facts as possible, correct?
Excuse me?
Your attorney, Kenny Cardinal, also told you to give as few details as possible.
Sustained.
Now, you said when you were fishing, all 3 of you had lanterns, correct?
Yeah, we had 3 lanterns. I have 3 lanterns, and we had them with us.
And you were under the bridge fishing that night.
We were under the bridge and on the north side of it, both.
And across, on the other side of the bridge, underneath it, there were people down there fishing as well, correct?
I don't remember.
did you see other lanterns around, either on the bridge, under the bridge, or along the shore that night?
Not under the bridge. There was no one else under the bridge with us. There was no one else exactly under the bridge with us. Now that you were saying this,
So there's nobody fishing across on the other side?
not under the bridge where we were. No, ma'am. That I've seen, no one.
Now, when you had testified earlier, the fishing boat crossed under the bridge while you were down
Yeah, it was daylight.
there. And you said you started just pleasant, hi, talk to them, correct?
Earlier, there was other people down there on that side of the bridge, and yes, I said hi to everyone, is what I said.
Ma'am, this will go a lot quicker if you
I said hi to everyone.
If you just answer my question. You said hi to them as they went under the bridge.
Yes,
Was it light or dark when they went?
it was light.
Was the trolling motor out? If I say trolling motor, do you know what that is?
It was a small fishing boat, trolling boat.
Do you know what a trolling motor is, ma'am?
Pardon?
Do you know what a trolling motor is?
Motor is? Yes, it's a small little motor.
Was that out in the water as they went under the bridge?
I don't remember.
Do you remember if the outboard motor on the back was in the water?
I don't remember.
When you wrote out your statement for the police, do you recall where you were?
I can't hear her talking down at this.
When you wrote out your statement for the police, do you recall where you were?
Where I was on top of the bridge.
Were you in your car or just standing on the side of the bridge?
At this moment, I can't tell you if I was in my car or on the bridge, because when I spoke to the first officer that came up, then he left and went towards the state park. My son, at that time, when all the EMS and everyone got there, my focus was my son.
So you don't remember where you were when you...
Where I was standing
Yes.
when the police officer was there,
No, when you wrote out your statement.
I could have been sitting in my car, on the side of my car. I don't remember.
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit H and ask you if you recognize that.
I gotta take my glasses off for it up close.
Do you recognize that, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that your signature at the bottom?
Yes, it is.
And this writing, the narrative, that's your handwriting or your printing?
As far as the whole thing?
Yes.
Yes.
You don't say anywhere in there anything about life jacket, correct?
No, I said it on the 911 call. And I wrote as much descriptive, he told me to be just very, very vague and write down what I could. My focus was my son.
Ma'am, are you telling me the police officer told you to be very vague when you wrote out your statement?
I don't want to say vague. He told me to say what I could in what I had on here. I had a 911 call. Okay? Yes, it was stated about the life jacket. And no, it is not in here. But yes, it was stated.
And there's nothing in here about the other boat turning off its lights, correct?
No, I told that to the officer when he pulled up.
So it is not a written statement.
Nope.
Now, immediately before the accident, you had left fishing and you were walking up the side to go up to your vehicle, correct?
Pardon?
Immediately before the boom, the accident that you heard, you were walking up to your vehicle, correct?
I was standing at the side of my vehicle. Simon and my son were bringing this stuff up.
Okay, so you...
I was on the driver's side of my vehicle that was facing the north side.
And when you hear the boom, do you go back to the bridge?
I was on the bridge.
So your vehicle was parked on the bridge? It was
Yes,
not-
ma'am.
It was not in that little lot that was off the bridge?
No, it was right on the north side of the bridge on where you're allowed to park.
So you turn at that point in time? to
I turned
look-
around and looked behind me.
It's very difficult for the court reporter if we both talk at the same time. Can you wait until I finish my question before you answer, please? So when you hear the boom, you turn to look at what caused the boom?
Yeah, I turned around. Yes, ma'am.
And from where you were standing up on the bridge, it's your testimony, you could actually see the two boats out in the water?
I could see both their lights. Yes, ma'am.
Could you see the boats, ma'am?
No, ma'am. Not at that time.
And if I understand you, well, at some point in time, Simon gets his flashlight and starts trying to shine it on the water, correct?
That was after the boat went through the bridge. Yes.
Was there anyone else up on the bridge at this point in time when the accident happened, when you hear the boom in your body?
Nope.
You were the only person up there?
I was the only person up there on that bridge.
How about after the accident, after the boom? Were there other people up on the bridge?
Not until the sheriff showed up, besides my son and Simon.
Now, you said you could see lights on each boat.
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me the lights that you saw on the fishing boat.
Say that again.
Tell me the lights that you saw on the fishing boat.
It was a bluish green with red on the boat.
Any others that you saw on the fishing boat?
There was another light. Do I remember the colors of it? It was like a glow light. No. And that was them being out in the water before the accident, the lights I seen.
Okay. So before the accident, you remember seeing the bluish green lady with red on it?
Yes, and after the accident.
But before the accident, you're not certain if you saw any other lights while they were out there?
No, because the other boat went up and came back.
Before the accident, ma'am, I want to focus on the fishing boat.
No, there was lots of other people. I mean, there was other people around, other boats out in the water. Please explain yourself. I mean,
I'm asking only about the fishing boat involved in the accident. And I'm asking only about the lights on that fishing boat. Before the accident, you said you saw a bluish green, maybe with red light on it.
bluish green with red.
Okay. On the fishing boat?
Yes.
Did you see any other lights before the accident?
Those lights were on the boat the whole time.
Pardon me?
Those lights were on the boat the whole
The
time.
bluish green with red.
Yeah, it was on the boat with the whole time.
No other light on the boat other than that bluish green.
There wasn't, I don't remember the color of the other light. There was 2 lights on that boat. One was at one end, and the other one was on the other end. Do I remember the colors? No, I don't. I don't remember.
Yes.
You had testified that you flagged down some people after the accident that were coming under the bridge.
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you at that point in time?
I was on top of the bridge, going back and forth. I was on the phone with a 911 call the whole time. I never hung up the phone. And I was on the south side of the bridge as this other boat was coming towards us. And I said, here comes a boat. I'm going to try to holler at them and flag them down to see if they can get out and help this gentleman that is still in the water screaming help, because there was no one else around. And it was not a state boat that normally is out there traveling around.
And when that boat went under the bridge, it started looking for the other boat.
I went to the other side, back over to the north side. They said where, because being on the south side of the bridge, you can't see on the north side until you go through. So I went back over to the north side and I pointed over towards I said over where the light is where the guy's hollering for help.
Do you recall them starting to go in the wrong direction and you telling them no, go the other way?
They were going forward and they needed to go more to the left.
And you told them you're going
Yes.
the wrong way?
Yes, I did.
I don't have any other questions.
Any follow-up?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
You may step down. Thank you.
Ma'am, excuse me. Thank you.
May I see counsel? All right, we'll take a 15-minute recess and resume back here at about 10 to 3.
All rise. This court is in recess.
Counsel. Yes. Okay.
The state was called Hayes Covert.
If you could step right on up, and if you would raise your right hand for me, do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? You may be seated.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hayes, I'm going to need you to keep your voice up, okay? It's a really big courtroom, and I know we talk loud, but everybody's not really used to talking, and the room kind of swallows up our voices, okay?
Yeah.
If you please state your name for the record, spelling your last name for the court reporter.
Hayes, C-O-V-E-R-T.
Okay. Coverts, your last name?
Yes.
Okay. And how old are you?
15.
And I know it's summer now, but what grade are you going into this year?
10th.
10th grade. So you're going to be a sophomore.
Yes.
We already heard from your mom earlier, and she talked about you having some health problems in 2015. Is that right?
Yes.
And what was that?
There was something wrong with my heart.
Okay. You feeling better now?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask you about the evening of May 8th, 2015, going into May 9th, 2015. Do you recall that day?
Yes.
And what did you do that day?
We got back from the hospital and we were at the house. And then we were just talking and we went and we decided to go fishing.
And was that at your request to go fishing?
Yeah, I wanted to go.
Okay. And where did you go fishing at?
I don't know the exact place. We went to a bridge and then we moved and went to another bridge.
Okay. And is this somewhere you fished at before?
The first, yeah, we fished at both of them before.
All right. And who was with you during this fishing?
My
excursion?
mom and Simon.
Your mom is Dina Covert?
Yes.
While you're fishing, or let me ask you this. The bridge that you're at when you're fishing, do you know what road that is?
I think it's on 224.
Okay. And do you recall where you were fishing off that bridge if you looked at a picture
Yes.
of that? Can you point out where you were fishing from?
Right there.
Okay. And is that facing the dam?
Yes.
Okay. How long were you fishing that evening?
We were fishing for a good 4 or 5 hours. We were out there a while.
Did you catch any fish that day, do you recall?
I caught a few.
Okay. What kind of fish were you looking for?
We were just catching whatever we could.
All right. Do you remember any of the fish that you caught?
I think we caught crappie.
At some point, it gets dark that evening, correct?
Yes.
And do you have anything with you that allows you to see where you're walking or what you're doing out there in the dark?
Yeah, we had 3 lanterns.
Did you have 3 yourself, or did you each have a lantern?
We each had a lantern.
And are you fishing right next to each other, or are you kind of spread out?
We were spread out, but we weren't very far from each other.
Now, at some point, something happens on that lake, is that right?
Yes.
What do you recall doing just prior to that incident?
Walking up to the car.
And tell us what happened as you're walking up to the car.
So we were walking up to the car, and we got to the back of the car, and we opened the door, and it sounded like I heard like a motor blow or something.
Okay.
And I looked at Simon and I said, sounds like somebody blew their motor. And then you could hear people yelling, and then that was it.
Did you go look to see if you could tell where this yelling was coming from?
Yeah, because I turned my head to the left and you could see out in the water. You could see, but it wasn't like perfect.
Okay. What could you see?
You could see there was like a light out there, and that was about it.
All right. Was there just one light, or was there more than
There
one?
was a couple lights.
All right. Could you tell whether these were lights from boats?
Yeah, they looked like lights from boats.
While you were fishing that day and during into that evening, had you seen other people fishing on the lake in boats?
Yes.
And did you see other kinds of boats out on the lake?
Yes.
And what other kinds of boats were there?
There was like pontoon boats and just regular fishing boats.
What about any speedboats? Had you seen any that day?
Yes, there was a couple.
Okay. Now, you said you heard yelling. Did you go any closer to where you heard this yelling from to kind of hear what they were saying?
You could hear them,
Okay.
but I don't remember what they were saying.
And do you recall at all how many different things they said?
They said they didn't have a big conversation, but they talked for a little. They were yelling at each other for a little bit, and then
Could you tell it was 2 different people?
yes,
All right, so they had you heard 2 different voices.
yes.
And do you recall what the nature of what they talked about? Not specifically what they said, but what was talked about?
I think the one guy was like, help, and the other guy said, I can't, and then the guy that said help, he was like, my friend's in the water, throw him a life jacket or something, and the guy said, I don't remember the rest, that's been a while.
Okay. Did they talk at all about any lights?
Yeah.
What was said about lights?
He said they were screaming and he said, you didn't have your lights on. He said, yeah, I did. And then yeah.
Okay. After this yelling, was it more of a screaming at each other?
Yeah.
What happens next?
Once they were done yelling, I heard a boat engine rev up, and then you could hear the boat coming closer. And I looked over the side of the guardrail, and you could see a boat go under the bridge.
Okay, was it going fast?
Yes.
What kind of boat was it?
It was like a speedboat.
All right. Did you recognize anything about that boat? What color it was?
It was like a maroon red.
Okay. Any other colors with it?
I think it was maroon red and black.
Now, do you see anybody on the boat? Not like whether you see their face, but do you see if there's actual people on that
No.
boat? Did you see if there was, how many people were on the boat?
I couldn't see how many people on the boat.
Do you recall while you were out fishing, seeing those buoys near the bridge?
Yes.
And what kind of buoys are they, do you know?
They're like, they say slow down, no wake,
Okay.
and they're like orange and white.
And did that boat slow down for those buoys? When you said it revved its engine, did it rev it really high?
Yeah, like you could tell it was going fast.
Do you remember, or did you see where the boat went?
I saw it go under the bridge, and then I looked over to the other side, and you could see it going away, but I don't really know where it was going.
Okay. So did it go all the way to the other side of the lake there?
Yeah. I saw it going towards that way, but I wasn't paying attention to it.
Okay. You didn't watch to see whether it stopped anywhere
Right.
in the lake? Do you recall, did you call 911?
No.
Did anybody with you call 911?
My mom, Dina did, and Simon.
Okay. And did you guys stick around and when the
Yes.
cops got there? And did you write a statement as well?
Yes.
After the speedboat speeds off, did you continue to hear the other guy in the other boat
Yes.
yelling? What was he yelling?
He was yelling help.
Okay. Did you do anything to try to look out for people or aid and rescue, anything like that?
If there wasn't nobody out, it was pretty late.
Okay. Were you there when the other fishing boat came under the bridge?
Yes.
Okay. Did you help point those guys to where the crash happened?
Yeah, I was helping my mom point that way.
Could you hear, right after the crash, and let's go back to that. You said you heard a loud thing that sounded like a boat motor went out, is that right?
Yes.
How loud was it?
It was pretty loud. Like you could hear it from a while away.
Did it echo off the lake?
Yeah.
Did you hear during this yelling about anybody being in the water?
Yes.
And what was that?
The one guy said, "My friend's in the water. Can you help him?" And the other guy said, "Throw him a life jacket."
What about prior to the crash? Did you hear this boat coming? Do you recall?
Like coming towards us?
Yeah.
No.
We have 1 minute.
Yes.
Hayes, did you ever tell any of the police officers what kind of boat it was or describe the boat to them?
I looked it up on my phone and it looked like the same boat.
Okay. Do you recall what kind of boat that was?
I think it was a Bayliner, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Cross.
Good afternoon, Kingsley.
Definitely.
My name is Lynn Morrow. I represent Joe Yurich. I have a couple questions to ask you about what you saw tonight, okay?
Yep.
If I say something and I don't make sense, can you let me know? Say yes?
Yes.
She's typing down what you say, so she can't get when you nod your head or say, and then answer out loud, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you. The second thing I'd ask is if you're not certain, don't guess on something, okay? Let us know you don't know.
Okay.
Thank you. Prior to testifying, well, let me ask you this, between the night of the accident and today, have you talked to Simon and your mom about what happened that night?
Not really, no.
Prior to testifying, did you talk to your mom about having to come here to court to testify?
She said what it was going to be like, but we didn't talk about the incident.
Okay, thank you. Now, this night when you went fishing, do you recall when you said you were at one bridge and then you went to this bridge on 224? correct?
Yes.
Do you recall when you got to the bridge on 224 if it was light or dark out?
It was light.
It was still light?
Yes.
And how long when you're fishing there under the bridge before it starts to get dark?
When we got there, it was just starting to get light dark, like the sun was starting to set.
Okay. And you were fishing under the bridge?
We weren't under the bridge, we were off to the left-hand side. Like if you're looking out towards the water, towards the dam, we were on the left-hand side on the embankment.
Towards the dam is the side you were on?
Yes.
And there's all kind of big rocks
Yeah.
and gravel down there for you to stand on?
Yes.
And you said you had 3 lanterns, correct?
Yes.
Across the bridge, on the other side, there were people under there fishing as well, correct?
I don't recall anybody over there.
Okay. Do you recall seeing other lights and lanterns and people out fishing that night?
Yes.
And if you can you show me where you recall seeing on that map other lights and lanterns?
There was some lights over this way, and there was some
You're motioning
over here.
towards Leslie's bait shop?
Yes.
And where else were you motioning?
And over this way.
Over by the white and green
Yes.
push pins, more towards the middle of the road.
Yes.
Now, I think when you were testifying, you said you were actually getting in the car when you heard the boom.
We were putting the fishing poles in the trunk of the car.
And was your mom helping with that as well, or was it you and Simon?
It was me and Simon.
Do you know where your mom was then?
I don't know. I do not recall.
So you're putting this fishing tackle in the trunk, and you hear a loud boom.
Yes.
And your first thought is, it sounds like an engine is going.
Yes.
How long after you hear that boom do you hear yelling?
It was maybe a matter of 30 seconds, if that.
And I think you said you could see but not perfect.
Yes, you could see lights, but you couldn't see anything else.
Okay, and that's what I was going to ask. Did you see that there was a boat or more than one boat out there?
No.
So all you see is lights and you don't know how many boats are out there?
Right.
At this point, right when you hear the boom, you're up putting the tackle in the trunk. Are there other people up on the bridge fishing or at their cars?
No.
You guys you're the only ones out there?
Yes.
Now, I think you described a maroon and black boat.
Yes.
Okay. And I wasn't sure, you saw that as the boat was pulling under the bridge and leaving the speedboat?
Yes, as it was going under the bridge, because there's a light on the top of the bridge for like cars that go across it, and it shines into the water.
Okay. And do you know, was there a bar across that boat?
Yeah, it went over the top. Like you could put like I think speakers or like skis on the side.
Okay. So it's like a wave bar or tower bar.
Right.
And there was one of those on the boat.
Yes.
And Did you ever leave the car and actually walk over to the bridge and look out to the water after the accident?
I never walked over the bridge. I was standing in front of the car and I went over the guardrail and looked over, but I mean, you really couldn't see anything.
Fair enough. Do you remember Simon getting out his flashlight and shining it out on the water?
Yeah, but it wasn't bright enough to where you could see it that far.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. Once he's doing that, can you see that there's boats out there, or is it still too
No,
dark?
no,
You could not see?
no.
Now, at some point in time, another boat comes under the bridge. Do you know what direction that boat comes from, that fishing boat?
It wasn't coming from the dam, it was coming from the other direction.
So if you look at that map that's in front of you, it's coming from the side that just has the white push pin on it.
Yes,
And it's traveling up towards the dam.
yes,
And at that point in time, your mom's trying to get them to help find out what's going on.
yes.
When they come under the bridge, the other fishing boat, where are you?
I was standing on the left side by the car, and then I walked over to the right side and tried to help my mom.
Okay. And as that boat's coming under the bridge, you still can't see that there's boats out there.
Right, but you could see a general direction of which way they were.
Did that fishing boat need you guys to help tell them where to go to find?
Yes.
After the collision, after the boat, I should say, do you hear anybody else along the shore yelling to the fishing boat that was out there?
No.
Now, at some point in time, the police come and ask you to write out what you recall happening that night, correct?
Yes.
May I approach you?
Yes.
I'm going to hand you what we've marked as Defendant's Exhibit I. Do you recognize that, please?
Yes.
That's a copy of the statement you wrote out,
Yes.
and that's in your handwriting?
Yes.
And the police basically told you to write what you remember happening that night.
Yes.
Did anybody else help you write this or fill it
No.
out?
I was sitting in the car by myself.
After you write this out, you indicate that you heard boom and then screaming.
Yes.
Did anybody that night ask you what screaming you had heard?
No.
And you don't put in here any details of what you heard as far as the screaming between the boats. You don't put down what they said, correct?
Right.
And when you were first being questioned by the prosecutor, you said you really didn't remember what was being said.
Yes.
As you sit here today, do you specifically remember what they said?
I
Or-
remember bits and pieces, but not like the whole conversation.
And I was going to say, do you remember, or are you basing what you remember today off of what you've heard Simon or Mom talking about?
No.
going to show you what we mark as Defendant's Exhibit J, which is a map of Berlin Lake. This area is the bridge on 224. Can you put an X where you were that night fishing? Okay, hang on to the pen. You said after the boom you went and looked and you could see lights, but you really couldn't see any boats or anything. What area were the lights in? And you just put one line for the lights. The fishing boat that came through, which direction did he go in first when he came over the bridge? Was that fishing boat having some trouble finding the boat that had been in the accident?
Yes.
Do you know how long before they found? How much time passed while they were looking?
Lynn?
Actually, sorry. Now, you had said you pulled up a photo of the boat that you saw.
Yes.
You did not print that out, you just showed the police on your phone?
Yes.
You have an iPhone or Samsung?
Samson.
When you pulled that up, how did you find that? What did you do?
I just typed in maroon or red and black speedboat, and then I looked for a couple minutes, and then I found one that looked like it.
And I think you said you couldn't tell how many people were on the boat.
Yes.
I don't have any other questions.
Any redirect?
Yeah, nothing further.
You may step down, thank you.
Judge, we don't have anybody else today. We have a full day planned after drug court tomorrow.
All right. For the benefit of those in the audience, we have drug court that we run every Wednesday morning at 8:30. So instead of starting tomorrow morning at 9, we will start tomorrow morning as close to 10 o'clock as possible. I know we have a full schedule of drug court, but we'll try to get through that as quickly as we can and resume this case at 10 a.m. Other than that, we'll stand in recess.
All rise.